I remember we were filming once, it was in Pam's house, and they were all outside having shots, and then they all do the conga. We were congaing along and thinking, why is it no one saying cut? And when I looked round, all the crew had put their gear down and joined in the conga.
Thank you so much, Alison, for coming to do this today. I am
My pleasure.
So excited to talk to you. I have to ask, as a fellow Scouse, are we expats? We don't live there anymore? I don't know what we call ourselves.
I don't know. I'm still a Scouser.
Good. When you go back to Liverpool, is there one thing that you have to do or see, or a food you have to eat, or when you go back home?
Well, the one thing I love doing is going down to the pier head and looking at the river and just being around. I love the way that area now has improved a lot.
Yeah,
and
it's gorgeous, isn't it?
It's really kind of come up. But I since I was a child, a trip to the pier head, a ferry over to New Brighton or Wallasey or wherever was always a treat.
Yeah.
And I love it. I just love it. Yeah, and I love looking up and seeing the live bird. And
I feel like such a tourist when I go back home now, because I've lived there for like 18 years and I feel like it's changed so much. People ask me for like recommendations. I'm like, it's probably short. You've probably been there more than me.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. So Scousers are known for being natural storytellers. Was there anybody like in your family or who you grew up around who had like comic time and always a story, who got you like into telling stories and performance?
Not really, but my family, they love comedy. So I grew up listening to comedy on the radio always, and everyone kind of like falling about. Yeah. And then we got a television when I was 7 for the coronation. And gradually comedians came on television like Hilda Baker, Beryl Reid, these very funny women who I would watch and then impersonate.
Right.
And my family were my audience and they loved it and they used to laugh their heads off, you know. And my mother would often say, "Oh, there's nothing on this television. Turn it off. Alison, do Hilda Baker." And I'd run upstairs and she had, a big coat with a fur collar and I'd put that on and then I'd put a hat on and I'd come down and I'd start doing Hilda Baker and they'd fall about. And at Christmas time, I was the entertainment, And I loved making people laugh. I loved it. So it just became a natural thing. And then when I was, I think I was 10 when my eldest sister got married. My sisters were 10 and 12 and a half years older than me.
Okay.
So my elder sister got married. And when I realised she wasn't coming back home, because I didn't know getting married meant that you went to live somewhere else. And apparently I said to my mother at the gate, "Where's Sylvia gone?" And she said, "Well, she's married now." I said, "What, is she not coming home?"
Aww.
And she said, "No." Aww. And apparently I cried. And then a year later, my other sister married. And so I suddenly was really lonely. Yeah. Desperately lonely. I had friends in the road, of the kids, but it wasn't the same, especially at the weekends, because we used to bake together and, we'd have our roast and I'd pick mint from the garden and, there was just this routine that we had and it all changed. Of course, they used to come and visit, but it just wasn't the same. So I would often entertain myself. I'd go up to my room and I'd, just pretend to be other people all the time. And I can remember my bedroom window looked out onto the garden. And I would open that window and I'd have to stand on the metal, I don't know if it was water or gas that was running through. And I'd have to stand on it so that I was tall enough, to look out of the window. And I'd seen a film, and it was the Queen, the Queen giving a speech in this film. And I was trying to be the Queen, standing with the window open. And I was imagining the garden full of all these people. And I was, waving and making this speech. And the lady next door came out And she looked up and she said, "Alison, is everything all right?"
So you're going to throw yourself out.
I said, "Yes." And she said, "Because I thought you were shouting for help. Is your mother all right?" And I said, "Yeah, no, we're fine," And I was really, felt so stupid, I couldn't say I was pretending to be the Queen making a speech.
Doing a bit.
So, lots of fun things. And so, I always enjoy pretending to be other people. Yeah. And at school, we did play, we studied plays. I was at an all-girls grammar school, and I remember we read Romeo and Juliet, and the teacher got us out onto we had a little rostrum at the front of the thing to act out. And it was the bit where Romeo finds Juliet and thinks that she's dead, and he takes the poison and dies, So I was so committed and involved, and I was reading this part, and then I said, "And with a kiss, I die." And I flung myself on the floor. The whole class was just laughing, just falling about, and I remember thinking, why are they finding this funny? This is the most tragic moment in Shakespeare, and he's just poisoned himself because he loves, Juliet so much. And the teacher was saying, "Can we all stop laughing? Now, Alison's just playing this part, So I was always, it was just in me somewhere.
Brilliant. And then at what point did you think, hang on, I could do this as a job?
Well, I remember doing a play this is when I was at my junior school, before I went to my grammar school. I did a play, and I can't remember what it was now, but I know it was something Scottish, and I remember some of the lines, "Boatman, do not tarry, for I'll give thee a silver crown if you'll row me o'er the ferry." It was all that. And I remember overhearing a teacher saying to my mother, "Alison's very good at acting. I think she could do it as a profession." I remember thinking, what does that mean? I could, earn a living at acting. And so that kind of kicked things off in my mind. And then when I was 15, I think it was, youth theatre started in Liverpool.
Oh, okay.
Which was wonderful, because a group of teachers just got together and said, we're going to start a youth theatre. So every Friday night, we would meet up in a school, and it was great because there was no auditions. You didn't have to pay.
It's quite freeing.
It was just their good hearts. They were doing this.
So nice.
And it was lovely. And one of the tutors there said to me when I was, 18, he said, you should go to drama school and become an actress. And I said, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "I can't bear the idea that, in years ahead, if you don't do that, one day you'll be stirring the stew and saying to yourself, oh, if only I'd gone to drama school." Yeah. He said, "And, I can't bear the idea that you'll regret it." And so that really spurred me on to apply.
How exciting. And so I think if you'd never said that, you might not have had the courage to do it.
I know, yeah. Because it seemed such a faraway thing to go to drama school.
Well, yeah, kids from Liverpool don't do stuff like that usually, do they? Especially, back then when there wasn't as many resources.
Yeah, I suppose that's true in a way, but there were hardly any drama schools then. There were 5 main drama schools, and they were all in London. And the idea of going off to London, it was really weird.
Yeah.
And I had to apply for a grant, because it obviously cost money.
Expensive.
Yeah, but he did encourage me, and he phoned up the Liverpool Playhouse, got me a meeting with the director and the assistant director, who were both great.
Wow.
I saw the show there that night at the theatre and had a chat with them. And, of course, he said, because the actors there will have been to drama school, so they'll know what they're talking about. So I had a chat with a few people. And the director said to me, my daughter is going to this drama school in London, and I think it would suit you. Because don't forget then, there was no Wi-Fi. We didn't have phones.
Google it, yeah.
You couldn't Google anything.
Yeah.
You know, you had to write letters or make phone calls.
Yeah, because how would you have known what schools were there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd only heard of RADA. Yeah. Everyone had heard of RADA. But apart from that, there were other drama schools. But, you know, you couldn't find... So what happened was I wrote to the school and they sent me a prospectus, so outlining all their work. And it seemed the right kind of work for me because I loved improvising. That was my favourite thing, was to just suddenly be somebody else.
Yeah.
You know? And then I applied. I got an audition, went for the audition, jumped on the train. I'd been to London once in my life when I was 10, and an aunt took me and my cousin to the Buckingham Palace and the zoo.
Aww.
And we had fish and chips and then got the train home. And it was very nice. And I was about 10, yeah. So I went for this audition. I didn't know what I was doing. I was all over the place. I was so nervous. And luckily, the principal of the drama school, she'd started the drama school. She was very much in kind of my way of thinking, of improvising and, you know, being free. And she just said to me, put that, forget it, forget those speeches. I read a poem. I mean, recited a poem.
Yeah.
It's awful. And she just asked me she suddenly, out of the blue, she went, OK, right, I want you to be Muhammad Ali, you know, Cassius Clay as he was then. You've just won the World Heavyweight Championship. The cameras are all around you and the microphones are all around you. Go. And I'm a 19-year-old Liverpool girl, and I'm standing there. I've been asked to be Muhammad Ali. But I just went for it, you know. I don't know how I did it now, but I kind of went, I am the greatest. You know, I am the champion of the world. You know, I was doing all this sort of thing and jumping around. And then she went, all right, yes, fine, stop. And then she said, right, you are a guide in a stately home. Come through that door, got a group of people with you and some children, bring them into here and go round the room. And I went, right, OK. So I went went outside the door and I went, please come this way. Please, no sitting on the furniture. Don't sit on there. Now, look at this beautiful painting. And I was just going around this room making up all this twaddle, you know. But I was suddenly I was feeling more relaxed when I was doing that. That was more me than I was trying to do this Greek tragedy speech, you know. Yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so after that, she said, right, thank you, that was very nice, thank you very much, we'll be in touch. And with that, I walked out.
Did you have any idea?
No. And I remember walking down the drive of the school because it was an big old house. Yeah. It was just out on the outskirts of London in Essex. It was in... near Loughton and Debden in Essex. And so I'm walking down the drive and this woman in the office who'd shown me in, I remember her opening the window and shouting, Alison, how did it go? How, you know, I can still see the image of her in this window up in this. And I just looked up and I went, I think it was okay, I don't know. So she went, oh, well, let's hope, you know.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I walked down and got the tube back to Euston and got the train. And the next week, I got a letter. And it was so exciting. I had a few months to pack up my life and worry and get nervous and get excited and all those mixed emotions.
Yeah,
you know.
Of course.
But yeah, and I worked in a probation office as a shorthand typist secretary to two probation officers. And they were all so kind to me because I had to have books to take. You know, you had to have the complete works of Shakespeare, a Stanislavski book, An Actor Prepares, Building a Character. And they all cost money, you know.
Of course,
I mean, they're all hardback, you know, expensive. And I didn't have a penny. Luckily, I got a grant, which kids don't get now, but I got all my fees paid for and my, you know, subsistence money. Yeah, so I was very lucky. And they were really kind to me in the office.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. So when you got to drama school, did you feel like you fitted in, or were you like, what am I doing here? These are not my people?
Bit of both.
Okay.
Because suddenly I was away from Liverpool. I was in Essex with eel pies and all that. You know, what the hell's an eel pie? But it was such a great adventure.
Yeah.
But it was quite scary at first because I hadn't been anywhere.
Of course.
You know, as I say, I'd been to London once.
Yeah.
And there I was surrounded by this amazing mix of people.
Yeah.
And it was great, you know, in a way. And I didn't have anywhere to stay. There were no halls of residence.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you've got to look after yourself for the first time as well.
Yeah, and the probation office got me a room in this woman's house.
Oh, wow.
And that was helpful because it wasn't far from the school.
Yeah.
But she wasn't very nice, and she didn't really want me there. I think she'd, you know, agreed to let this, you know, this young woman come to her. You know, she was a bit of a pain. Anyway, I managed to find a different and better accommodation at the end of the term. So I was only with her for one term. Yeah, gradually I settled in and thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
And how long were you there for?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. And then I didn't know what I was going to do because I was trying to find all these addresses of theatres and write to them for auditions. You know, it was, again, there was nowhere you could look up.
Course.
You couldn't, you know, it was very much, you know, writing a letter and all the rest of it.
I'm waiting.
But there was a lovely young man called Philip Headley who'd trained at East 15 at my drama school and was now running Lincoln Theatre Royal. He came to the school and he auditioned a few of us with the possibility of, you know, getting a job at the theatre as an acting ASM, which doesn't exist now, sadly.
Okay.
But so you were assistant stage manager and you were acting. So you were juggling all these jobs. And that was fascinating and fun. And on the last night, I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got no money. I've got no job. I don't know how to get a job. I've tried, but I haven't got what, you know. And suddenly somebody said, oh, there's a letter for you in the hall on the table. And I thought, oh, perhaps it's my mum writing to me or something, you know. And I went and there was a letter from Philip Headley saying, please join us for the next season as an acting ASM starting on the so and said, I was in heaven.
Day mate.
It was my first job and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, and how did you find being from Liverpool? Did you have to adjust your accent when you moved out of the city? Did you find that people weren't really embracing accents back then?
Well, yes, that was true. But also, the Liverpool accent has changed over the last 50 years. I mean, I left Liverpool in 1966, and the accents then weren't as strong. No. They really weren't. And I know that because of friends I've still got in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And also because my two sisters, sadly, have now passed on. But I know their accents weren't strong either. So, but also I didn't want to find myself in a position which could happen very easily, that if you were known as a Liverpudlian actress, that's all you'd get offered.
Yeah, that's
and that
true.
wouldn't be very much work. It would be now and again. I wanted to do everything.
All of it, yeah.
I wanted to be free, you know, to be able to... And of course, Essex was great because then I ended up playing Beverly in Abigail's Party, and she was in Essex. Yeah. They lived in Essex, you know, so I'd got all that research done for that kind of woman. And I just loved it. I've always loved doing accents, trying to do different accents. I can't do them all. I still can't do a Spanish accent very well. But over the years, I've loved developing the skill of all the different accents in the UK and maybe some foreign accents as well. You know, playing someone American or Canadian or whatever. I just love it. And so those doors were open for me.
Yeah, amazing. And then going back to what you were just talking about, being your acting ASM, how was that? Did you get did you realise how much an ASM did? And you were like, I don't want to do that.
I tell you that 6 months I was there at Lincoln was such a lesson. Because you don't realise until you do that job. I was helping in the costume department, and obviously I was, clearing backstage. I was helping putting up sets. I was in the prop department sometimes. I remember having to, the prop guy, who I remember not being that friendly, but he was probably very busy, and he got this kid, to do. And he said, the play we're doing next week, they need... an ice cream. They need an ice cream block, and it was one of those with the, the pink ice cream, all the different Neapolitan thing, and that'll be on the table from the half. And I thought, how will it not melt? I've got to put it on at 5 to 7, and then clear off. Play doesn't start till 7:30. It'll all be melted.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? I was in such a panic, and I was thinking, what do I do? What do I do? I was like, and in the end, I went to him, excuse me, sir, how can I stop the ice cream from melting? He went, well, it's not going to be real ice cream. Go to the supermarket and buy some Cadbury Smash. You make the potato, and then you colour it, all the different colours, put it together. That won't melt. Put it in a block on the top.
Genius.
Oh, yeah. So that's what I did. And, of course, people could take it and put it on a dish and it would look like ice cream.
Yeah.
There were all these things, all these funny things I had to do. But it was good fun and it was exciting. And, yeah, we had some laughs. And I remember, the great thing was that what Philip Headley did was that you'd have to do all these jobs because that was part of it. But then... he'd give you a lead part in a play.
I was going to say, did you get to do any acting?
I played Ophelia.
Perfect.
And obviously while I was playing Ophelia, I wasn't having to make ice cream and do all that. But that's what he did. So you didn't feel like, I'm only playing a tiny part kind of thing.
You were rewarded.
Yeah, and it was so good. And we did a play. I can't remember the name of it now, but I know I had to have an accent like that, And she was called Pearl, my character. And there's a wonderful guy who's done operas, plays. He's called Martin Duncan, who was stage management. And we just used to... He used to have to do this tiny part where he had to come with the parcel, knock on the door, and it was for Pearl, and give her this parcel. And even now, when we see each other, and I had this line, I had to say, well, I aren't grumbling. And he'll send me a birthday card and he'll put on it, happy birthday, Pearl. Oh. Well, I aren't grumbling. And that was literally 1969. So it's a few years ago, but we've both never forgotten it, the fun that we had.
Yeah, love that. And then once you left Lincoln, did you go back to London?
No, I got a job at the Bolton Octagon, and I was there for quite a few months. I did a little tour to Rhyl in North Wales with a few plays in this tiny little theatre. And one of my strongest memories of being in the little theatre Rhyl was the young man on stage management never seemed to wash his socks or have a shower.
Oh, God.
And we all used to try and find it funny, but it was, Yeah, but they were all good times. They were times when you were learning, you were developing, you were out of your comfort zone, but that was good. That was good. Where did I go after Bolton? Northcote Theatre in Exeter, I think. I did a play there. I did a year at the Liverpool Everyman, which was great. So I was back home. Yeah, so I moved around
quite a few places. You did quite a lot of theatre, though, before you got onto TV.
Over sort of 4 or 5 years, and then got a small television part from Mike Leigh.
Yeah.
And then we got together, and then things went on from there. So.
Yeah. Wow. And then, so you've worked quite extensively in theatre and TV. Do you find the process different, like preparation process different?
Yeah, the difference in doing film and television, occasionally you get some rehearsal. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't.
No.
You know, it's put the frock on and get on with it, you know. Yeah, so theatre, you get proper rehearsal, you know. But they've both got their good and bad things, you know. I loved theatre. Best of all, always. I mean, terrified initially.
Yeah.
You know, those first few shows, absolutely terrified. But then when you get into it and you get confident and you know what you're doing, it's the best thing ever.
And is that because you get instant reactions from the audience?
You get feedback.
Yeah.
And every audience is different. So if you're doing a run of a play, you can just suss them out within the first few minutes, you know. Oh, this is an audience that likes the humour, or this is a quiet audience, or this is... You can just... And you can kind of build up with them.
Yeah.
You can form a sort of relationship.
Give them what they want, basically.
Yeah, and it's brilliant. Whereas with film and television, I mean, it can be obviously rewarding, but it's not the same because you don't get that feedback.
Yeah. And you don't always see the finished results as well, like... You see it in bits, don't you? You don't actually see it
until
before
it's all cut together. Yeah, and then you go to a screening somewhere and then you look at yourself and think, oh, my God, I've got to lose some weight. Or, oh, my God, why did I agree to wear that dress? Oh, my God.
I'm sure you've been great in it.
I remember my mother phoning me once and she'd seen me in something on telly and she said to me, oh, that dress you wore was awful. You should have said, no, I'm not wearing that. I said, Mum, it was the character. I don't care. You just say to them, I'm not wearing that.
So I know you've talked about 10 and 40 and how things can change when you get older in the casting process and the jobs that are available there. Do you think things have changed now? Are there more roles for older women within the industry, or do you think it's still much harder to get cast in once you turn a certain age?
Oh, it's changed a lot. I mean, when I was, you know, in my 20s, I can remember an older actress saying to me, well, if you can get over 40, darling, then you've done very well, because that's when they, you know, give you the heave-ho. And it was true, because most of the roles were for young, pretty things, you know, and once you got over 40, you were considered, you know, getting a bit beyond it.
Yeah.
But that's not true now. I mean, I've had some really great television roles since I've been in my 60s and 70s. Yeah. And I really appreciate that. We don't stop living.
No, of course.
You know, we carry on, and therefore there should be dramas, parts for these people, which writers are doing now.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I mean, I was going to say, like, Here We Go is a brilliant example of a great part. I absolutely love that show. It's so good.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that show, were you able to bring a bit of yourself in there? Because obviously you've got a Scouse accent in that. And you go to Liverpool on one of the episodes and you bring the bird watching in, which I love, which I know that's something that you love. Yeah. Did you feel like you had the freedom to do that? Did they invite you to bring those things in, or were they written especially for that part?
No, I was asked to do a Liverpool character.
Amazing.
And I said, yeah, okay. Yeah. You know, that was great. And the bird watching thing, I think Tom Basden, who's in it and writes it, he knows I'm a very keen bird watcher, so I think he wanted to put that in as a, you know, it's kind of a kind little nudge. And when I read the episode, I thought, oh, that's nice. You know, he's a great guy. He's a lovely man, and he listens very much to what you chat about, and then he might just use it and put it in, you know, the next series, which is great. I
know you've said previously that you've never sought out specific roles, but is there anything now that you look back on and you think, oh, I wish I'd have done that, or I want to do that?
I've always loved the fact that you never know when your agent rings what they're going to have, you know, in the box for you. And that's exciting. But when I was at school, and I used to really enjoy doing play readings, and we used to do scenes and we act them out, you know, on the stage. And I played Lady Macbeth. We only read it. I didn't have to learn the difficult language. But I remember the headmistress of the school, who was a lovely lady called Miss Brown, and she came to me and she said, your Lady Macbeth was magnificent.
Oh, wow.
It was wonderful. And, she was a lovely lady. And when Abigail's party was on television, she actually wrote to me. She'd retired by then. She was in her 80s. And she wrote to me and she said how wonderful she thought it was. And she said, how did you learn all those lines? I look back now and I think, yeah, how did I? And then she said, please don't feel the need to reply, because I know you've just had a baby and you'll be very busy and very tired. And to my dying day, I will regret that I didn't reply to her. And that's one thing is on my list of regrets, because she was lovely and very kind and very sweet. Encouraging.
Yeah. Are there any characters that you've played that you would love to step into their shoes for a day? I know who I would love to spend the day with, but...
It's not Beverly, is it?
No, oh God, no. She was awful.
I don't know, really. I suppose one role that I do think about and go back to in my mind sometimes is Candice Marie from Nuts in May.
So sweet.
Yeah. And idiotic.
Sit and write some songs with that.
Yeah, but I'm still friends with Roger Sloman.
Yeah,
and it was such a great time because we were down in Dorset for 8 weeks, developing those characters and developing the story, and improvising every day. I mean, it was just fantastic. Yeah. I remember Mike Leigh saying to us one day, right, so what's in the book? Because Roger, as his character of Keith, he'd got a notebook and he'd worked out each day of the holiday what they would do. Walk here, do this, do that, Yeah. And Mike said to him, what's Keith got down for today? So Roger said, it's a short walk after their breakfast at 9:00. They come back at 10. They have a short break and then they go off on the coastal path on that long 15-mile walk.
Yeah.
Up and down hills. And I thought, thank God I'm only 27 or something. So that's what we did. And Mike wasn't there because he was rehearsing with other characters, developing them. So Mike said, OK, so off you go. Have a good day and we'll have a chat when you get back tonight. So we said, OK. So off we went, and the two of us went off on this short walk, and there was a bird in the bushes, and I said on this country lane, I said to Roger, oh, Keith, I wonder what that bird is. Look, that lovely little bird there. and Roger turned around and he went, I'll get the bird book out, Candice Marie, and we'll check it. So I looked, and he didn't have a rucksack on. And I said, you're not wearing your rucksack, Keith. And he went, don't be silly, Candice Marie, get the book out. Don't forget, the two of us are on our own in this country. And I said, I'm serious, Keith, you're not wearing your rucksack. And I started to laugh. And he went on his shoulders and he started to laugh. The two of us had to sit down at the side of the road. And we were just crying, laughing, because it was this serious way he'd said, come along, don't be so silly, get the rucksack. And after about 10 minutes, we just stopped laughing. And then Roger stood up and he went, right, come along, Candice Marie, let's carry on. We just carried on. And that was what we used to do every single day. And I loved it. I was in my element. And at the time we were living near Euston Station in a flat. And when I came back to the flat after all these glorious weeks in Dorset with this fresh air, and I looked on the windowsill, it was covered in black grit, had come in from the road. And I thought, I want to go back to Dorset and just breathe the fresh air. Yeah. I mean, people sometimes mistakenly think, that Mike just says, just improvise. And, and it's not that. He works together with the actors. very much paring down, changing things. I mean, he's the sort of, the guy with the puppets, and it wouldn't work because I've done other improvised things.
Yeah.
And unless you've got someone at the helm who knows what they're doing and is guiding you, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And Mike will actually say things like, right, let's rehearse that scene again. This time, don't talk about this. You bring in the subject that you want or whatever, and then we'll do that again. And then he'll say, okay, let's do it one more time. And that was great. But this time, don't do this.
Right.
And talk about this. So
yeah.
It's building
He's
up.
orchestrating it all, isn't he?
Orchestrating it all, absolutely, yeah.
Did you try and improvise in other scripted situations and the director's like, no, just stick to the script? Or, and you wanted to bring a bit more to a character that wasn't on the page?
Usually you're not asked to improvise if it's a scripted piece. The one thing that has occasionally annoyed me about another actor I'm working with is that they might say to the director, I'm not going to say this line. I don't want to say this line. It doesn't make any sense. And I think, hang on, that writer has spent months, paring this down and getting it, at least discuss it rather than just say, I'm not going to say this.
Yeah.
And I've been with some actors a few times who've said that, Or I was once filming something and this actor said, I don't understand what he's talking about here. And the director said, oh, we'll just cut it then. And again, I was thinking, what is going on? This is, you're treating this, so
flippantly. Yeah.
Flippantly. And, this is a script that's been worked on, discussed, and now handed to us to do. So I always respect the script.
Yeah.
That's one of the wonderful things about Ruth Jones and James Corden is that their writing is so good. And we never got changes of scenes, changes of scripts.
Wow.
When we came to film, that was what it was. And it was always so good. Whereas sometimes you start getting scene changes and they're handing you pages and the pages change colours from green to blue to pink to red and all. And it's just a nightmare.
And then they come back around again to pink.
Exactly. Or double pink.
Yeah.
And that really gets me, particularly now I'm getting older, because learning lines is so much more difficult than it used to be. And so you don't want a new script at 7:00 in the evening, just as you're finishing, say, oh, by the way, tomorrow we're doing this. And you go, what?
Yeah. Obviously, you've played iconic characters over the years that the nation have fallen in love with. What's the funniest thing somebody's ever shouted at you in the street that you can say?
Well, I remember the first series of Gavin and Stacey had gone out and we were shooting a second series. And Smithy's character had started to call Pamela.
Yeah.
And I noticed that in these episodes, Smithy wasn't doing that. And I thought, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were driving to location this day in Dinas Powys in Wales, because we used to film it all in Wales. And I'd said this to James, and James had sort of gone, oh well, we'll see kind of thing. We were at the traffic lights and a car pulled up with 4 young guys in. They saw me. They rolled the window down and all of them were going, Pamela, 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 like this. And I looked at James and I said,
see?
See? And James didn't say anything, but sure enough, it was back in.
Oh.
And yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And you've obviously played lots of mums as well over the years. Has there been any ridiculous parenting advice that's come up in a script thinking I would never tell my child that? I was watching back at an ep of Gavin and Stacey where you go into Gavin and Stacey and say, your dad's out for the count and I'll put my headphones on, go and have a nice time. And they're in bed together and I think I would die if my mum said that to me.
Yeah, me too. One of the funniest bits is when they're all having breakfast and the Welsh family are there and they're all sitting around. The sausages are on the table. And Gavin and Stacey are, and they start hearing them in the room.
So funny.
And she puts some music on. And she thinks, well, I'll dance and I'll come, you know. And then she goes, come. And they're all going, what is she doing? That was so funny. And then when Gavin comes back in and he sits down, you know, and they're all kind of really embarrassed. Where's Stacey? And he goes, oh, she's just having a shower. You know. Everything all right? You know, he takes some sausages. It's just, oh, God. Oh, no. It was gold.
So many iconic moments in that show, isn't
absolute
there?
Gold. Every time I got a new script, I just think, this is absolutely great. Yeah.
And did they bring that straight to you?
Yeah. First episode they sent me had the scene with Pam lying on the couch with cucumbers on her eyes, and she's been crying watching television, and Gavin comes home from work. This was the first scene of Pam's I read, and he goes, all right, Mum? And she goes, no, I'm not actually. And he says, what's the matter? Why have you been crying? You know. And she says, well, I've just been watching the television and the little badger was crying because its little babies had died. And he goes, Mum, I don't think badgers can cry. She goes, Gavin, I know what I saw. Anyway, I've got to get dressed, got to get going, you know. And I just knew when I read that scene that this was going to be a great character and great fun. And we had the best. I mean, some of the memories of filming, you know, and I remember we were filming once. It was in Pam's house. And they were all outside having shots and, you know, and then they all do the conga back into the house. And we did this scene quite a few times. And, you know, it was like 2:00 in the morning. We were all exhausted, but God, we were having fun. And on the last take, we kept congaing. And we were congaing along and thinking, why is it no one's saying cut? No one's telling us to stop. And when I looked round, all the crew had put their gear down and joined in the conga.
Oh, I love that. It's brilliant.
And, you know, it just said everything about the fun we were having and how everyone was so committed.
Oh, no, it was. It's one of my favourite TV shows. I could recite every word of every episode. I absolutely loved it. And if you could go back to your younger self just before you're about to get your first, like, big break on TV, what would you give yourself any advice, or would you just do what you did?
Well, it's like stepping stones. You know, you do one job, you do another, you do another. And, I mean, I still kind of can get quite anxious about things and quite nervous in the initial stages. And then when I know I can do it, then I'm off and I'm confident. And I probably say to myself, don't be so anxious and so nervous. I mean, I would constantly, you know, the first night of a play coming up, you know, I'd be really nervous, and I'd usually ring my mum and ask her advice. I mean, she'd never been on stage. She didn't know anything about it, but she was always great.
It's the comfort, aren't they, mums?
I mean, she would say, you know, never say you can't. Always say you can, and you will. You know, you can do it. You can do it. You're talented. You can do it. And she used to really kind of lift me up, you know.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's her birthday. It would have been her birthday today.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
She died 30 years ago.
Wow.
But I still miss her.
Oh, of course you do, yeah. Oh, happy birthday to your mum.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of actors who listen to this podcast. So do you have any advice for budding actors, or, you know, any advice at all from somebody who's had such an incredible career?
Yeah, I would say to young actors, perhaps who haven't got much money and who, you know, perhaps are not working, a bit lost, that every day is a learning day and people are all around you. I mean, if I think of my working life, I have spent my entire working life pretending to be other people, which is a bit odd. It's a bit of an odd job, isn't it? Pretending to be someone else. But you're on a bus or a tube, or you're in a coffee shop, or, you know, there are people around you can listen to. You're at a party. It's never boring because there are people there. Watch, listen.
Yeah.
you can constantly be just building up your knowledge of people, accents. What you think? Why are they wearing that? Why is that woman wearing those boots? Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's a reason we all are doing whatever we're doing. Why have we got our hair like this? Why do some people not wear makeup and other people are caked in it? And all these things, it's all interesting.
Yeah.
And just have that in your box, your acting box, and you can dip into it at some point. But it's always fun to watch and listen.
Yeah.
People watch all the time.
That's such great advice. Right, I'm going to go to our final question. We ask everybody to join our Go and Road Club. What is a film or a TV show that you love that nobody would expect you to watch?
I don't really know, because I do watch television, obviously, but most people do. Not everybody, most people do. But I don't watch... Some people are, kind of like, absolutely devoted to catching up on this and watching this. And I love watching quizzes. I'm a quizzer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's your favourite quiz?
I mean, I'm not a quizzer. That was a mistake.
Watching other people quiz.
I like watching other people use their brains for quizzing. I mean, any quiz that's on, I'm completely hooked on it.
Have you never been asked to do like a celebrity version of anything over the years?
I have been on something years ago, that like a Would I Lie to You type thing. And I wasn't very comfortable with it. I remember, luckily, I was sitting next to Sandy Toksvig, who was really kind and kind of helped me through, because I was sitting there thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. Only Connect. I sit there and I think...
Baffled by that one.
Are these people from another planet?
Yeah.
And they've just brought them in, because...
If I get like one question right on something like that, I'm like...
Yeah, me too.
Buzzing.
Yeah, and University Challenge, to me, over the years, that seems to have got harder and harder. The questions get so kind of...
It is like they're speaking another language.
The scientific ones, I'm thinking, But I just love seeing how clever some people are.
Yeah.
And I just love it. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Any of that. I mean, I could go on.
Yeah.
Any quiz show I will watch. And I can't answer any of the questions usually.
Love that.